have, I mean, like I obviously, okay, I'm prepared for combine, but this was like the weirdest combine headline year ever. Like if you just Googled combine, the stories that you would find were wild, I felt like. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was also the athletic ability that we just saw um, this weekend has been phenomenal.
Well,
Like
yeah, of course. I mean, yes.
I can't remember some of the crazy testing that we saw, and I told y'all about Eli Stowers. So
turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Draft Digest. The sickest NFL draft and scouting podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Sick Podcast Draft Digest. I'm your host, Emily Van Buskirk, alongside John Vogel. And we're talking combine. Finally. I know you've been like waiting for this moment to be post-combine, pre-draft. This is your sweet spot, John. This is your moment. This is where you shine. So I'm excited. This episode is dedicated to you.
You know, it's the first real step in completing evaluations because now we've got, we've had the all-star games collecting measurements, but now we've got actual numbers to look at, right? And to start to kind of compare. Numbers tell part of the story. It's not all of the story, but it tells a good part of the story, and being able to kind of figure out, hey, what is this player potentially going to be like with some of the comps?
Yeah.
Players that have been in that similar size, that similar athletic profile, what have they done? And I think that's the valuable part of this. Plus, the combine in Indianapolis every year is like NFL. Think of like NFL convention. That's what it is every year. Is everybody comes there.
That. It's one of the few football events that I've never covered. I've never gone. Every year, my best friend Kim, she works for the NFL. She goes and she's always like, and Joey Chestnut, he lives there. So we're always talking about like meeting up in Indy for the combine, but I've never done it. And I said I was going to go this year if Dean got invited, and he didn't. So I protested and I didn't go. But I hear it's just really fun, like the older brother of the Senior Bowl, like a more sophisticated version of that is what I imagine.
It's very much like going to a convention, except instead of having speakers, you have athletic testing, So that's the fun part. But when you go to a convention and you're walking around and like everybody's there and you're just kind of networking and socializing and kind of getting the feel for stuff. There's people, the high important people there are making business deals in the restaurants around town, like that's what the combine is it's NFL convention. So that's where we're at. What a week it was too. The 4 days.
I'm buckling up for this. I've been saving that.
The 4 days of testing that we just had was, phenomenal, right? And I want to preface this by pointing out that this is a trend that we've seen really start with the combine over the last few years. And I think really the last 5 years, it's just gotten a little bit worse every year. If you're not going to test average for your position group or above average, most guys don't test at the combine anymore. And
just because it's harmful or detrimental?
Well, because you have so many guys in one place, and if you want to stand out, I think it's easier for you to go to your pro day where you'll be the best player, one of the 2 or 3 best players there, as opposed to being in a big giant position group with guys running, 0.3, 0.4 seconds faster than you in the 40. I think, though, what agents don't realize is I think it might be a little bit more detrimental to some of these guys that don't test. I'm not talking about the top 25 prospects that don't test at the combine. That's not who I'm talking about. They're pretty much set in stone. They understand where they're going to go. the guys that I'm kind of talking about are, here's a few that didn't test this week. Kieran Crawford,
Okay.
edge rusher out of Auburn. No testing this week. Caden Curry, edge rusher out of Ohio State. He didn't test this week. Pat Coogan, I could kind of understand that. He just played national championship.
Yeah.
But Max Clare, Ohio State, tight end, didn't test this week. So there's certain guys that it would benefit them to test because the numbers that get put out that we get, especially in the electrically timed stuff, is very subjective. We say most of us in the media use the electric time. I use it because I'm not there to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Most NFL teams take their own testing. They take their own numbers. They're not going to use anything like that. That's why there's a whole line of guys sitting there at the 40-yard dash every year with stopwatches, because that's the time that they're going to use, the time that they, right? So it almost helps you to run at the combine and to do some of the testing there, because some of these numbers are subjective based on the scout that's taking it. Like Carnell Tate this year, wide receiver. Some people say top 10 pick. I think that's a little rich. I think it's impossible. I'm not quite there with him, but he's a guy that ran like a 4.52 or 4.54. I got it right here. What did he run? Tate 4.53. Okay, right in between what he runs a 4.53.
Yeah.
But most scouts in the stands had him at 4.45, 4.47. That looks a lot better on paper. And you see the simulcams, the difference is noticeable, but it's not a detrimental difference.
Yeah.
And so for Tate running, that's smart for him, because the time that gets put out is 4.53. Yeah, these people on social media that don't like Tate are going to get on there and be like, he's too slow. But the scouts that took the times, that's the times that matter, right?
Yeah.
So I think that more people probably need to do some of this testing. The 3-cone and the shuttle drills are almost non-existent anymore at this event. I think that's just lack of preparation. They want more time. They want to do the 40 here if they're going to test, and then do the cone drills and all that, the other stuff, when they've had another month to prepare for it. Right. So that way they can put all their focus into one drill. I think that's kind of the philosophy there, but I think it would benefit people more to be doing this stuff here, in
its official capacity. But you're saying it. What is the biggest benefit?
Well, the fact that you're probably going to get better times than the electric timer is going to give you.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought you were saying. Okay. That makes sense to me, because I haven't been to many pro days because there's so many, and it's like, how do you narrow it down and go? But I did.
A lot of them don't let media in too. That's the other thing.
Sometimes they don't. Yeah. If it's a guy, well, like I went to Nick Nash's pro day because we were all very, we wanted to see what he was going to do time wise and for the draft. So I went to San Jose State and say it. But okay, you're in the stadium, you're on the field, like there's people all around. It's like, to me, I get what you're saying. It didn't feel super official, but those times count, I guess. They, whatever, but it felt like we were just at a practice. And so even though I get that it's an official pro day, the times should matter, and they do matter. I get what you're saying. It's why would you not go if you could and get it timed in an environment like that? A very special environment.
I'm not even going to get into the whole faster track theory too, because that's been floated around as well. The only reason that theory has any credence is because it's only the top guys that are going to test above average that are running. That's the only reason. There's no historical data that's concise enough to show that you're going to run faster in Indianapolis than at your pro day. Unless you're at Penn State, of course, because then you're running slightly downhill. But in total, I guess let's start with the quarterbacks.
Okay.
I did my quarterback episode when you weren't here.
Yeah.
Which was just more of a hey, bang, 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 bang. Here's my top 10.
Okay.
And I think I included what's his face in there. that just went back to Ole Miss. Why can't I think of his name? Chambliss, Trinidad Chambliss.
Oh, Trinidad. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
He's not in there anymore. Okay. So go ahead and bump up the Iowa quarterback, Mark Gronowski. Anyways, wasn't at the combine. What a freaking, how did they make that decision?
Yeah.
But anyways, so the big winner on the field was a guy we haven't spent a lot of time talking about, a guy that you're more familiar with all your Boise State connections, Taylen Green. Taylen Green was phenomenal.
I texted you about him.
in all the speed drills and everything, right? He runs a 4.36. I think that's the fastest a quarterback's ever run at the combine. 43.5-inch vertical, beat Anthony Richardson's record in the vertical, and 11.2 broad. I mean, just came out there and looked awesome at 227 pounds. I think, and this is a topic I wanted to get into a little bit because somebody asked me about this on Twitter. And I thought that this was a better point to amplify, to take away from this. I think a lot of people watching Taylen Green, especially after the throwing session, and watching him really just play at Arkansas the last couple of years. He's a very gifted. He is an elite level athlete. Very gifted.
Yes.
He's not a good natural thrower.
Right. I mean, that was evident throughout the season if you looked at his stat line, you could see that with the amount of, misses, the amount of turnovers. He just, I like the kid. I think, he's,
No, and he seems like he's a great guy, and that's not at all what I want to take. So the automatic sort of pivot here is, and it's pretty clear to me, and I want to walk through this process of how I got to this because this is what's controversial. I don't think he's going to play quarterback in the NFL.
We were literally texting about this. Yeah. I said running back. You said tight end.
Yeah. It's just hard to see a 6'6" running back, It's hard to see a 6'6" running back.
I mean, that's fair.
I'd love to.
Hybrid.
I would love to, because it would be like, hey, put on a few more pounds and now we have like Derrick Henry like on steroids.
Yeah. Why not? If anyone could do it, I feel like it's this kid. He's a freak in that regard.
And he's tough. He's physical. He's got all that too.
Yes.
But so when I kind of made this point, because somebody I think it was Tyler. I don't want to get this name wrong. Sorry. I've seen his stuff. He's been around on Twitter for quite some time, and I know him as Tyler because like face to name. Tyler DeSensa. He's been around for quite a while, and he's a good analyst. And he was kind of planting, his flag into his hill that he's going to die on, which is Taylen Green's a quarterback. And I said, look, I have a lot of respect for Tyler, and I think he's a really good analyst, but so this is more so on the point, not Tyler. This is not a critique of Tyler.
Right. It's just a counterpoint.
So there's a lot of things working against a guy coming into the league who is a very high level athlete that plays the quarterback position. Your practice time is not adequate to develop. That's just the new CBA that was negotiated a few years ago has killed that for a lot of people. If you're not a first round pick, you're not going to get the attention that you need either to help develop. If you're the third string quarterback coming in, which if Taylen Green gets to the right situation, he'll be a third string quarterback. You're on your own for the most part, especially obviously depends on the situation. There's probably one or two situations that could fall into place where Taylen Green would make sense. Right. But the likelihood of him getting there is not very high. So you have this guy who's a really good athlete who is a third string quarterback. If he can't elevate himself into a backup within 2 or 3 years, he's going to get washed out of the league at the quarterback position. Right. And that's where you start to look at him at different positions because he's ran a 4.36. He's insanely explosive at strong. 6'6", he's got great size. So that's where the other position conversation comes into play.
Yeah.
So the immediate counterpoint to this, and this is why what I want to get into, is, well, look at Lamar Jackson. Everybody was wrong about him. There's two differences. One, Lamar Jackson was a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
He went in as a backup quarterback, and he wasn't a great thrower in college, but he could get the ball to a general area, and he's developed more as a passer over the last few years because he had that time. He also got in before the last CBA, right? So they had adequate time to work with him and really be patient with him. That time does not exist anymore.
Yeah.
The second thing is, you can't look at the exception to the rule and apply it to everyone.
But that's everybody's favorite thing to
do. Lamar Jackson is an exception to the rule.
Right.
And you could sit there and say, well, Jalen Hurts too. Well, Jalen Hurts is a good athlete. He's a very good athlete, but he's not Lamar Jackson.
Right.
You know? Kyler Murray is a great athlete, a horrible teammate. I don't care what y'all have to say, you know?
He should have played baseball. I think I love Kyler. I covered him very extensively when he was in his last year, but baseball would have been the bet, man. Can you imagine the world we live in if he was a baseball player?
Yeah, no, it'd be different. Shortstop.
He wouldn't still be with the A's. So we wouldn't have to worry about it. He would have been traded somewhere else. We'd be seeing him in the Yankees or the Dodgers, whatever.
Somewhere. Yeah, he'd be doing great. But
I understand what you're saying, because a lot of people want to reach for those to make the argument. And it's just not how it works, unfortunately.
And these guys were better passers than significantly better passers in college than Taylen Green was.
But they also had better teams. Well, Louisville, maybe not so much, but I mean, when Jalen was at Alabama, it's Alabama. So.
Yeah, and then he goes to Oklahoma, and they're in the playoff, right?
And they're like a pass-heavy offense. So I think it's harder with Taylen because Arkansas. I mean, his trajectory of his career, Boise State obviously is what it is, but Arkansas was not set up that way, and he was not able to achieve the most in that offense.
No, there is an absolute point to that too.
Yeah.
I think that when you chart his passing, and just, where was he consistently accurate, you really struggle to find where he was consistently accurate. And that's just inaccuracy. And that could come from platform mechanics. That could come from processing. That can come from a lot of different things.
Yeah.
In his case, I think it is platform.
I think
that's the common.
I agree.
That's the common problem, right? So,
because I do think he has good wherewithal. When you do watch him, he does have instinct and vision. I think a lot of the mistakes were mechanical, like you're saying. I agree with that 100%.
Right. Exactly. So it's not an insult to his intelligence to say that he's going to be playing a different position. I think that as a quarterback, he could probably understand what he's looking at. He's just not technically set up in his throwing mechanics. He's got this weird hop step when he gets into a throw. There's a bunch of weird stuff there that kind of throws him off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's making him so inaccurate. And if you don't have the time to fix that, if you don't have the coaches in place to help develop you, it's really hard to overcome that. So
he played college football at a time when that was not a priority. It's just not a priority to develop guys like that anymore, because you just go out and get a different one, or you'll go out and find somebody else. So that's unfortunate for him, because I do think, imagine a different college football world where he stayed at Boise State and, developed as a quarterback or whatever it was. I think that he seems like he picks things up, like he's a smart kid. And so I wonder if he could have made those changes, but I'm curious if I've not heard anybody ask him or heard any comments from him about playing other positions. So I'm curious, what his response.
They did ask him.
Oh, they did.
Stacey Dales got on top of that.
Oh, okay. She did. Nice.
Yeah, she got on top of that.
That's a hard question to ask somebody who's, chasing a dream. So
agreed.
Hats off for that.
He said he's a quarterback. He said he's a quarterback. He's not
going to. I know, but I'd be curious, I guess, what his cut to off camera, wherever, what is his real, I'm sure he understands, right? And is willing to
I think he's saying, I'm not going to do it right now, but when, but if my career is threatened in the league and to prolong it, I have to change positions. I think he will.
He's not going to be a Tim Tebow.
No. So Dante Daniels, another guy on Twitter, also pointed out, he said, now this logic is oftentimes reserved for black quarterbacks.
Interesting.
So I wanted to address that too, because here's the difference. Okay. He brought up Haynes King. Haynes King had a pretty awesome testing session for himself too this year. He ran a 4.46. Not nearly as explosive, but he had some speed. He had some wheels in the 40-yard dash. Okay, so what's the difference between Haynes King and Taylen Green? Well, Haynes King, first off, is not going to be a quarterback either. All right, let's just get that squared away. He is even more woefully inaccurate than Taylen Green. Now, here's the other thing I'm going to point out. Okay. There's a 0.01 difference in his 40-yard dash. There's a 0.001 second difference in his 10-yard split from Taylen Green. But there is a 10-inch difference in his vertical, and there is a 1 and 4-inch difference in his broad jump. Okay. So Haynes King has some speed, right? Yeah. Outside of that, he is a good athlete. Taylen Green is an elite level athlete.
Yeah.
Now, this is the common thing with quarterbacks, with these white quarterbacks that come in that are athletic. They're good athletes. But what's the difference between a good athlete and an elite athlete?
Yeah.
Massive, right? You see it on the field immediately, massive. So when you get asked to change a position at the professional level, there's a whole understanding of this position that you are 10 years behind on now, right? Because you haven't been doing this stuff. You haven't been developing to play this position. If I'm Taylen Green and I'm asked to move to tight end, I have these very elite level athletic traits that I can rely on that will get me by until I can further develop into the position. Haynes King does not have this luxury. Okay. He's got some speed, and that's about it. Like, no offense to Haynes, he's a tough, gritty guy. I like him. But the difference here in between these two, and this is common, you can go back through any of these guys that failed. Tebow is a guy that failed. Trace McSorley is a guy that failed. Well, Taysom Hill was enough of an athlete where he was able to make that transition. He's like the one guy I can think of.
But not ultimately. He played tight end for a little bit.
That's what I'm saying is typically the white quarterback, when they're asked to, they're not as athletic. That's just
okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. They're not nearly as athletic, so they don't have these traits that they can rely on to stay with and to win with. So when they don't have the understanding of the position, they're not developed in the position, and they're not winning with their pure athletic traits, they don't make it. They get cut and they go into coaching, or they go on to do whatever they're going to do with the rest of their lives, right? That's how it works. But these guys like Taylen Green, these guys like, Anthony Richardson's going to be coming up in this conversation soon.
Yeah.
These guys that are just freak athletes, they have the opportunity to make that transition because of their athletic traits. So when I talk about these kind of things, I'm never talking about it from a black versus white standpoint.
Right.
I'm talking about it from the pure numbers, right? And when you think about the number of guys that have failed out of the league because they weren't athletic enough and they weren't good enough passers to stick around as quarterbacks, this is a golden opportunity for these guys that have that athletic ability to be able to prolong their careers and stay in the league.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think that's a knock at all. I think that is a testament to their amazing abilities that they have. And so the main point that I wanted to make is just at this point in the NFL, it is not about black versus white anymore. It's not. It hasn't been for a long time. And when we're talking about quarterbacks and we're talking about people changing positions and we're talking about athletes, that's what we're looking at. Is we're looking at these numbers, we're looking at their on the field production, and we're saying this is what makes them great. And for Taylen, I hope that he can make it as a quarterback. I hope that he gets that opportunity. The reality is that the chances are very slim.
Yeah.
Lucky for him, he ran a 4.36 and had a 43.5-inch vertical, because he's an elite athlete and he can make that transition and play 10 years in the league. Anthony Richardson's got the opportunity to do the same thing. So that was the main point that I wanted to make, because it's something that keeps coming up over and over again.
Yeah.
And people are really, really sensitive about this stuff sometimes. And it's not about that anymore. It hasn't been for a
I think
long
in
time.
a perfect world, that's fair to say that it wouldn't be about it. But I think there's people, and obviously we can't speak to, how people feel about it, because people are going to feel how they feel, especially if they're different than we are. I'm just saying that in a perfect world, it wouldn't matter, right? And we're not a perfect world. So I think sometimes maybe people feel that it does, that race does play into it a little bit. And I'm not going to say whether that's right or wrong, because I really can't speak to it, but I understand the point you're trying to make, and it shouldn't, right? It should matter your numbers and who you are as a player and the kind of athletic ability you bring. But, if that were true, then everything would be butterflies and roses and we live in this perfect world, but we don't. So question on that though, do you think age matters at all? Because Haynes King is 2 years older. He's 25. Do you think
we're going to get ages now too. We're going to get ages. Okay.
But, there's something to be said if you've got, a little more wear on the tires, then.
Yeah, no, so
does that matter?
That is something that matters in changing position. Right now, nobody cares about the age of these prospects coming out because they're so all over the place.
Yeah.
And the majority of your guys are going to be 24, 25 right now. They're staying in school longer. They're getting more red shirt
Taylen's
years.
Only 23 and King is 25. So
yeah. So that does matter too, because
a little.
It's not just wear on the tires. It's how much time do you have left at the peak of your athletic ability, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that would be another thing for Hayes that would hurt him if he were to try to change positions at some point,
right? That's why I was curious.
Yeah, because he's got less time that he's going to be able to keep doing what he's doing athletically. He's got less time.
I will say this too. I think Haynes, this is how I differentiate the two. Haynes is long-legged, right? I see Green as more just long, lengthy, lean, but Haynes is more long-legged. So I think that maybe plays into the athletic differential a little bit. So yeah,
I would agree.
But yeah, I'm glad you addressed these points. They were important, and hopefully people will pay attention.
Carson Beck.
That was a lot of time on quarterbacks. We're still going on quarterbacks.
Oh no, we can let it go. I was just saying Carson Beck getting booed every time by that Indiana crowd was pretty funny.
Hilarious. Also, Diego Pavia, have to mention it. The behavior and who is helping this person? Like I can't watch it anymore. I can't.
It's
somebody just set his speeches to reality TV music, because that's what it is. That's all it is here.
No, I think the one thing that he does have going for him with it though is he's genuine.
He's genuinely saying the wrong things. Yes. Correct.
Yes. I'll give him that. And that's about it.
I don't know what your next group is going to be, but I was going to ask you to touch on the offensive lineman group a little bit, because that to me was so fun. And I was trying to have a little surprise for this episode, but I didn't get it together in time. So maybe next week, but it would be from that group. So the little spoiler, but fastest 40-yard dash times for offensive linemen, right? Or something like that. They were fast this year.
And a lot of them ran too.
Which we love.
And I think in that first group, there were only 3 guys that didn't work out, period. Yeah, or maybe 2. It might have just been 2. I'm looking at it right now. I think maybe it was just 2. Who did you
like out of this, and who do you think made a case for themselves?
Well, I think the easiest mover out of everybody was the guy that ran the second fastest. Spencer Fano. Utah.
Love a good Utah lineman. Love it. Utah actually puts so many guys in the league that stay in the league. It's shocking.
Yeah.
I feel like people don't know that, but they're tough.
And you also have to think Utah attracts they consistently have a large group of Samoan dudes playing there. And those guys are built different. So with Fano, just watching him move, he was so fluid through everything, had great short burst, and I thought that he was the most natural mover out of everybody that I saw.
Okay.
You can't talk about the offensive lineman without talking about Gennings Dunker. I mean, this guy had Samson pushing down the pillars on this shoulder, and he's got like some sort of like sunrise, something I couldn't really see what was over here. And then he lifts this arm up and he's got the old, the PX, the Christian initial for Christ, in like, like look like blades. I was like, golly, man. And he's got the mullet and the mustache. And this guy's awesome.
That was going to be your surprise today.
Oh man.
I have a friend that played with him at Iowa, Spencer Petrus, and he's been helping me connect with him. We're just waiting for the go-ahead to see if he'll come on next week. He was such a storyline out of this combine. I was looking at it. I was like, who do I want to try and go after and get on the pod? And I was like, it has to be this kid.
Oh,
the
man.
flow
No,
was just
like it's not even just the flow too. It's just like,
for me it was, but yes.
What do the kids call it these days? He's got aura. Well, no, Riz is like talking. I haven't heard him talk yet, so like I can't judge that, but I can judge him based like
you're saying like
put
he's
him
just
to an
presence,
aura video.
Like he's okay.
Yeah, put him to an aura edit, right? And just let
there was an edit I retweeted, and this was like while I was working on trying to get him on the pod, of him running, and then it was set to Freebird. It literally, if you watch one thing out of the combine, watch that video.
Yeah. Yeah. And he moves pretty well too.
Yeah, he does.
But he's gonna be one of these like bully guys. And he's probably gonna play guard, and he's gonna have the flexibility to play tackle. And I know some people kind of want to see him slide into center, and I think he could probably do that in a pinch too. So you're talking about a guy that can play 3 to 5 positions.
Yeah.
On the offensive line.
100%. He's gonna be a good get for somebody.
Oh yeah. I liked him a lot.
You know who was shocking to see that I hadn't realized was going into this draft? Jaeger Burton. I called a high school football game that he was in. It made me feel so old to see this man. But like he's speedy as well.
Yeah, Jaeger was a guy that I highlighted, I think, 2 years ago on my all underrated team.
Okay. I really good kid. One of the best kids I've ever had the pleasure of like interviewing. I am excited to see where he goes, but I just made me feel so old. I was like, I called your high school championship game, and now you're going to the NFL. So
yeah, no, and he's a legit guy that can come in there. He's probably starting in a couple of years.
Yeah, 100%.
And the athletic ability, I thought he pulled pretty well, and he showed good stuff. There's a lot of run blockers in this draft.
Yeah.
Guys that are going to be able to get downhill and move people and move in space. And that's kind of the question is there a premier pass blocker in this group? And that's what was left unanswered through this weekend. There's not a left tackle. Sorry, guys. If you need, I just talked to Andy over there with the Browns show on the Sick Podcast Network yesterday. And I'm sorry, man. Like they need a left tackle bad. And there's not one in this class.
Not today. I'm sad. I was becoming a Browns fan slowly because of my friend that was coaching offensive line there, and he just left to go to New York with Harbaugh. So I'm like, now I have no reason.
So that means you're going for the Giants this year. Okay, I see how it is.
Yeah, right. Now I'm officially. Well, I'll always be Cowboys because of my husband, but I like to follow my little guys around to wherever they go. So Bloomgren, his name, shout out Bloomgren. He's up there in New York now. That's actually going to be a fun coaching staff to watch. So I'm excited for him. But I was this close to staying a Browns fan, but nope.
I think I always keep this policy, and it's you keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Are you really close with your enemies?
Well, considering that the two teams you're rooting for this year in the NFL are the Cowboys and the Giants, and I'm sitting here wearing an Eagles shirt.
Cowboys, it doesn't count because it doesn't matter.
In Cowboys we trust. It's right there.
I know. Listen, I married into it. Okay, it was an accident. But also Junior Adams, shout out, he's their wide receivers coach. He gave me like a couple of my first stories when he was at Oregon and Washington. He's a great coach. Entering into his second year there. I mean, he coaches one of the best receiver rooms in the NFL. I mean, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, like these guys are incredible. So if they could just figure out the quarterback stuff and the defense stuff, then it'll be their year. But I don't think you have to worry about it because it's just never the Cowboys' year. So
I'll
like
tell
it's safe.
You told me who you were working on getting on the show. I'm going to tell you what I'm working on.
Okay, let's hear it.
And this ties into the combine.
Okay.
One of the biggest surprises that we had this week was Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas. Ran at 223 pounds. He runs a 4.33 40. I mean, blazing.
Unreal.
Now, Mike was teammates at New Mexico State with Seth McGowan.
Okay.
Who was also at the combine out of Kentucky.
Yes.
And had a pretty good one. Now, he didn't run as fast. He ran a 4.49, which is still well above average, but he beat Mike in the vertical leap department. Mike only leapt 39 inches. Seth went 42.5. So I'm trying to work on getting both of them to sit down together with us.
Oh, that would be great. Let me know if I can help.
Unprecedented. Had a couple people reach out about it. It makes a lot of sense. These guys are really talented dudes.
Yeah.
And I think it would help paint a really fun story with the transfer portal. There's so much time that I sit here and talk negatively about it. And we've had different perspectives, Coach I think it was Coach Tim that came on here when he was at Memphis and talked about like his angle with the portal.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, he's at Arkansas now, so
I was about to say it was not Cramsey. That's not what I was thinking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who?
No. That's exactly who I was thinking. That's not the name that I had associated with him.
Oh no, you're fine.
Name
Crams.
Is not right.
Crams, we call him Crams. He's very open about how he feels about the portal and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, and so but we've had all these different perspectives about it.
We have,
and I think that these two show how beneficial it can really be for some of these guys. To go from New Mexico State, and to go to two different SEC schools, have good years, and then go have great combine performances. It doesn't matter where you come from. Not only
that, Mike Washington Jr. went to Buffalo before he went to New Mexico State.
Yeah.
That's where I know him from. He was, under my running backs guy there. So that's where I knew him from. And so it's just wild to see these trajectories. But yeah, that would be really cool. He seems like a good kid. He's a New York kid. New York. I'll hit up Pete Lembo. He'll hook it up. We'll get him on. But that's funny.
The last thing I'll talk about real quick.
Yeah.
Because I know you're pressed for time tonight. The linebacker group.
Okay.
We kind of talked about it a little bit and said, yeah, this is a pretty good linebacker group, but I think this is a really good linebacker group.
Yeah.
And we kind of got to see that. So a lot of questions answered. I talked about how I was a little bit concerned with Jacob Rodriguez and his top end speed.
Mm-hmm.
He's officially silenced me. We're not going to talk about it anymore like that. He's answered the question. He ran a 4.57.
He's incredible.
Yeah, just
the story, everything. He is the theatrical. He is like the people's champion in this draft.
No, agreed. And it's not just him.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Owen Heineke looked a lot better than I thought he would out of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well now here's another guy that could potentially come down the line. Red Murdoch, I think you talked about him a little bit from Buffalo.
Love Red.
He had a really good. He ran
so
a lot
underrated.
Faster.
Just because people didn't see him, they didn't see Buffalo games and they didn't see him. But when they get their eyes on him, when he's in front of you, he's very impressive.
Yeah, I got my lines mixed up. He didn't run, but he interviewed really well all week. He also didn't go through the tests and stuff, and I think that's because he's dealing with an injury.
Yeah.
Kyle Lewis did really well, undersized, tested really well, exactly where he needed to. Now we can really probably project him into that rover role, the extra nickel. Even Jake Galday had a really good day out of Cincinnati. And that's a guy a lot of people have been talking about, that I kind of had questions about the athletic ability. But everybody that tested answered the questions about athletic ability. Nobody ran under a 4.63.
Yeah.
And the only guy that got that low was Xavier Sorey. So this linebacker group might be a lot better than I was thinking it was. And it's because all these guys that I kind of had questions about their speed with all ran in the same range. And they're all about the same. They're all good. And so when you're kind of watching guys for a year and, these top guys pop out and you're like, okay, well, I don't know if he's got the speed. I don't know if he's got the speed. It's subjective to the rest of the guys that you're watching.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of what happened is a lot of these guys are very close, very similar. All the 40s that the linebackers ran fell in between 4.46 and 4.63. So 0.17 second difference between everybody who ran this week.
Yeah.
That is pretty darn impressive. That is a very tight group.
I'm going to shout out Eli Heidenreich.
Yeah.
For representing Navy, running a 4.44. I did see, though, that people are liking him for the Raiders Kubiak offense. I don't want that for him, but I just want him to be happy.
I got some pretty cool intel on one of the guys that we really liked last year, Ashton Genty, who is going to be in that Kubiak offense this year.
Yes.
He's working down in Texas. It's a facility not many people know very much about. It's very unique in the approach that they take. And I'll be better prepared to talk about this next week because I think I want to talk more about this guy. One of my really good friends went down there the week before the combine and was helping them with their combine prep and their pro day prep.
Okay.
And he had nothing but good things to say about Genty and the approach that he's taken with this new offense coming in. So I asked him, I said, what do you think how do you think it's going to go? He's like, oh, dude, the sky's the limit.
Well, we've always said that, though.
Well, now we have somebody who really knows, now we have that confirmation. He's already in there watching Seahawks tape from last year to get the offense down, and he don't even have the playbook yet,
I think it was hard with Chip Kelly. As much as I've always had a decent relationship with Chip Kelly, I did not foresee that going well for Ashton in that specific offense. And that's exactly what happened. And when he tried to change Ashton and his stance. That was the end. That was the beginning of the end for Chip Kelly. So don't do that.
It was that, and then it was that
was the beginning of the end when he told Ashton to stand up, to bend over, put your hand in the dirt, don't stand. Like, what? You're going to tell this man who is one of the best running backs I've ever seen not to play the way he's played and been so successful? Okay. That's like get off my lawn stuff. I don't even want. And then lo and behold, he's no longer there. So I believe those things are correlated. I don't care what anybody else says. But anyways, I wanted to shout out Eli because it's just impressive for a Navy player to be there. I know we had a Navy player on the pod. They've just been doing incredible things, under Newberry and these guys. Like, it just makes me happy to see them succeed. So I was happy to see Eli do well.
Yeah, and best fit, and I hope they do this because I would love to see it. Washington Commanders 6th overall, please, I'm begging you, take Jeremiah Love. Just do it.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremiah Love in that offense would be.
He's otherworldly. I was watching him do the drills and stuff, and I'm just like, you saw a lot with Notre Dame, but he didn't play not most of the time. He split time. They had the dual running backs, and you didn't get to see the breadth of what he's capable of. And I feel like in some of these drills and in some of these clips, you really saw like his speed and his strength and just like his sheer movement and motion. He's impressive, and he's just an impressive human being as well. I got to spend a lot of time around him through the Doak, and he's going to be fun to watch. So it was good. It got me really excited for the draft, man. I'm excited.
He moves differently, like he's a special athlete.
Yeah.
And I always like to bring up the fact that football is never talked about on the Rogan Experience, but Jeremiah Love made it happen. He's that good. They sat down and broke down the tape of him hurdling a guy with a bad knee, so like,
oh yeah, that yeah. Imagine if he had been the main and only ball carrier. Would have been so interesting to see the kind of numbers he would have put up. But
yeah, I agree.
It'll be fun to watch him.
But there you go. That's the combine.
I think that is the combine. I didn't really have any really interesting college football news. So because I always try and end it with something interesting. I guess like shout out San Jose or Sacramento State for moving on up in the world to Division I.
Moving to the MAC.
Yeah.
The MAC is truly coast to coast now.
Action is going to go hard this year. In general, they go hard, but it's going to be like, it's going to be fun.
Truly coast to coast. Okay.
It is.
From Buffalo to Sacramento, Say it with me. Come on.
Oh my God.
Somebody write a song.
Yikes. But
all right. Well, it's North Dakota State too. North Dakota State's moved up.
Yes, they did. Which we love because that means more fullbacks, and we can always use more fullbacks in college football. So,
and no more knocks on these North Dakota State quarterbacks for not playing FBS football.
But to be fair, Trey Lance, not that I don't think Trey Lance is a good quarterback, but he was not as good as everybody said he was going to be. And
and neither was Justin Fields in that class either. Neither was Mac Jones, right? So we had them all kind of up there.
Those are different. That's like no, we're not putting all those in the same.
I really like Cole Payton, man. I really like Cole Payton.
I do like Cole Payton too. I'm just saying there is something to be said for, okay, yes, you can be a good quarterback and you can have these freak numbers and look incredible on film, but at the end of the day, do remember who they're on film with and do remember where they're playing, because we want it to not matter because we want people to be given shots everywhere. But at the same time, you're not playing the Alabamas and the Ohio States and those teams. So you can't really know if you're not playing NFL like teams, like SEC teams, Big Ten, sometimes ish teams, then you can't really know. And that Trey Lance, I thought that hype was the perfect example of that. Cause I was like, this is too much for this kid. It's not going to translate the same way because he's not playing. It wasn't playing. You're not playing the same. I don't know how to explain it, but
no. What you're saying is
I told everybody.
Trey Lance, I was right there with you. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And we were the only ones because most people were like, this is the second coming. He's going to be incredible. And that's hard. I feel bad for him because the way that all played out, that must've been really difficult,
I think it goes back to, he's a 1-year starter. Okay. And how many times have you heard me say this while you've been on the show? 1-year starter is not a good thing at the quarterback position. And that's my biggest concern with Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
Ty Simpson's a 1-year starter. And everybody seems to think that he's, he's going to be the number 2 quarterback in this class. I think that's still up for debate. He could be.
Yeah.
But man, when you look at Drew Aller and you're like, hey, we've talked about him for years. And he was at Penn State and things didn't go right for him. Yeah, he's got the knee injury coming off of, but he's played a lot of football. And I think that says something for him. He's been playing for I think since he's a redshirt freshman, right? Or was it? Yeah, redshirt freshman. So Drew Aller, don't sleep on him either. You know, like that guy has the potential to start, has more potential to start, in my opinion, than Ty Simpson does.
We're all kind of predictions here. I love it.
And Ty Simpson's first 9 games or 8 games of the season was better tape than Fernando Mendoza. I don't care what anybody says about that. I don't care. You know.
All right. I think that's going to do it for tonight. You feel good about it? Did you get a lot off your chest there?
Yes. It's gone.
Great. Well, we will run it back next week. I'm Emily Van Buskirk. He's John Vogel. This has been another episode of the Sick Podcast Draft Digest. We'll see you next time.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Draft Digest on YouTube, X, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.